Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns worked together for more than 4 years. In their time working together, the legendary duo dominated and reigned supreme over WWE alongside the Bloodline. Reigns lost the undisputed WWE Championship at WrestleMania 40, and one of the most iconic images from the event was of Heyman and Reigns hugging on the ramp. The months that followed were tough for Heyman, who was left alone while Reigns went on hiatus, but it seems that the wise man has now revealed the reasoning behind his WrestleMania betrayal. Heyman recently claimed that it was Roman Reigns who betrayed their bond first, and then went on to give props to Braun Breaker for his attack. Mr. Rodney Carabo, I will proudly live with your condemnation, but it's at Roman Reigns who betrayed our bond, not the other way around. And massive props to Braun Breaker for dishing out the punishment to the #Tribal Chief for his lack of true love for his #Wiseman. Heyman went on to note that the betrayal stemmed from Reigns' apparent lack of affection for his Wiseman, which occurred on the Raw that followed WrestleMania 41. This was also the last time that Reigns was seen. Reigns' anticipated return has been speculated numerous times over the past few weeks. However, it now seems the road to SummerSlam will be where Reigns finally resurfaces, and perhaps he could be looking to get some revenge on Breaker. Will Paul Heyman ever reunite with Roman Reigns? Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman were a formidable team, and it appears that the duo still has a loyal fan base. Meanwhile, the union between Seth Rollins and Heyman has been criticized by fans for their perceived lack of chemistry. It seems that there is a much bigger plan for Rollins down the road. The Money in the Bank contract could be just the beginning for the team that has already established itself as one of the strongest forces on Raw. Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker are a physically strong tag team and could potentially go after the tag titles in the future, if they decide to do so. Rollins also has his sights on a world championship, and Paul Heyman could be instrumental in making that come to fruition. Paul Heyman has never been short on words, but when the wise man speaks, the entire WWE universe listens, sometimes with bated breath, sometimes with fury, but always with curiosity. And on the latest episode of SmackDown, Heyman took to the ring under the guise of addressing the ongoing tension in the Bloodline, only to drop a bombshell about Roman Reigns that left fans stunned, superstars backstage whispering, and social media spinning in overdrive. The arena was already buzzing as Heyman stepped through the ropes, clutching his signature microphone like a holy relic. His face, weary yet determined, betrayed the weight of what he was about to say. He paced the ring slowly, letting the wise man chants fade into an expectant hush. "Ladies and gentlemen," Heyman began, his voice quivering just enough to draw the audience closer, "I stand before you tonight not just as the special counsel to your tribal chief, Roman Reigns, but as the man who has carried secrets no other man should ever carry." Heyman paused, wiping sweat from his brow, as the camera caught a close-up of the undisputed WWE Universal Championship resting on the announce table, a symbol of Reigns' unyielding dominance for over 1,200 days. But in that moment, it seemed more fragile than ever. He continued, "Roman Reigns is not here tonight. Not because he's afraid. Not because he's injured. But because he's uncertain." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Roman Reigns? Uncertain? The very thought of the head of the table questioning himself was unthinkable to most. Yet coming from Heyman's mouth, it felt devastatingly true. Heyman raised his eyes to the Titantron, where footage of Reigns' recent encounters with Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and a brooding Jimmy Uso played on loop. The once unbreakable family bond had cracked ever since Reigns' unexpected absence after WrestleMania. Rumors swirled that Solo Sikoa was making moves behind Reigns' back, and now Heyman was adding fuel to that already raging fire. You see, for over 3 years, Roman Reigns has been the tribal chief. The head of the Bloodline. The needle mover. The one constant in chaos. Heyman's voice rose, filled with both pride and a tremor of fear. But lately, the voices whispering in his ear are not mine alone. And the decisions he's making are not the decisions of a man who believes his family stands behind him. Some fans began chanting Solo. Solo. While others booed, unsure who to side with. Heyman looked torn between loyalty and duty, between his role as the master manipulator and the keeper of truth. Heyman leaned into the camera, his eyes glassy. "Roman Reigns asked me one question last night, and it broke me. He asked, 'Paul, am I still the head of the table? Or am I just another piece to be moved off the board?'" A hush fell over the arena so thick it felt suffocating. For a moment, even the production team seemed to forget to cut to the crowd. Heyman stood there, A solitary figure spilling the secret the entire WWE Universe dreaded, Roman Reigns, the man who conquered Brock Lesnar, who turned his own cousins into soldiers, who silenced John Cena and buried Cody Rhodes' dream once before, was now battling doubt within his own blood. Heyman pressed on. Roman Reigns is not afraid of any challenger. He's not afraid of Seth Rollins, of Cody Rhodes, of Randy Orton, he's crushed them all before. But he fears betrayal. And I fear. It may already be here. The fans chanted, "We want Roman." But Heyman shook his head solemnly. "I don't know if you'll get Roman, not the Roman you know. Because the tribal chief you revere may be fighting his biggest war yet, not in this ring, but inside his own home." As the words echoed across the arena, the camera cut to the backstage area where Solo Sikoa, arms folded, watched a monitor with a cold, unreadable expression. Jacob Fatu stood beside him, smirking slightly, as if he knew something no one else did. And in the corner lurked Jimmy Uso, half shrouded in shadow, nodding slowly as if agreeing with a plan yet to be spoken aloud. Back in the ring, Heyman's voice broke once more. "Roman, if you're watching this, and I know you are, know that your wise man stands with you. I have stood with you through betrayal, through injury, through every plot to steal your crown. But this is family, my tribal chief. And if you can't trust your family, who can you trust?" Heyman dropped the microphone with an uncharacteristic thud. He didn't raise his hands, didn't pose for the crowd. He simply looked to the sky, whispered a quiet prayer, and slipped out of the ring, his shoulders slumped under the crushing weight of a revelation that could shatter the entire foundation of the bloodline. Social media erupted within seconds. Hashtags like #RomanReigns, #BloodlineCivil and #Heyman Bombshell trended worldwide. Pundits and former superstars weighed in, speculating if Heyman was stirring the pot for his own gain or genuinely sending out a distress signal for the man who trusted him above all others. In the days that followed, rumors spread like wildfire. Would Reigns confront Solo Sikoa face to face? Would Jimmy Uso finally choose a side? Would Jacob Fatu step up as the next savage enforcer, or the one to swing the first dagger into Reigns' back? And in the middle of it all, Paul Heyman remained silent. No tweets. No backstage interviews. No podcast appearances. The wise man had done what he does best, he'd planted the seed. Whether it would grow into a tree of reconciliation or burn into ashes of betrayal, only time would tell. For now, the WWE Universe waits. Waits for the echo of Roman Reigns' theme song to thunder through the arena once more. Waits for the moment he steps through the curtain, championship over his shoulder, eyes locked on the family that could make him immortal, or drag him down from his throne. And somewhere in the shadows, Paul Heyman watches too. Because in the empire of the tribal chief, secrets are currency, loyalty is fragile, and the greatest threat to a king is always from within his own blood.